All right, so this video is for 7.3/7.4, buying and leasing a new car. All right, so comparing prices of new and used vehicles. As a car gets older, its value decreases. For example, a new car that you purchase for $25,000 might be sold 3 years later for $18,000. The decrease in value is something we call a depreciation. List things that decrease or increase in value over time and complete the table. So here are a few things that will decrease in value. So cars, your phones, computers generally as well. And then something that will increase in value could also just be really old cars, like vintage. And then houses could increase. And collections. So let's say you collected Pokemon cards when you were younger, and those would increase in value as time goes on. If something increases in value over time, we call that appreciation, so it appreciates. All right, now this is a bit individual. You need to look at your answer from 7 in the last section and research the price of a new model of this car and then also calculate the after-tax price. So there's a spot here you can rewrite the make and model, and then to get your after-tax price, you will have the price from 7, and then you will do times 1.113 to give you your after-tax. All right, you can also now compare this to the prices you had found for the used vehicles in the last section and describe 2 reasons why someone would choose to buy a new car over a used one, considering the price difference. So I have a couple of reasons here. One would be customizing. When you buy the car, you are deciding what goes into it for the most part. It will have a longer lifespan with you. So if your car that you're buying is already 15 years old, it will maybe last another 5 to 10, depending on how well you take care of it. But if you buy a new car, it could last 20. Another reason is that often when you buy a new car, it will come with a warranty, so 5 years, no charges on anything that goes wrong with it. You do not get that with a used car. And then finally, usually new cars are more fuel efficient. So they'll cost you less in gas as time goes on. All right, examining depreciation. A new car sells for $25,000. It will lose 20% of its value from year to year. So number 4 here is calculate the value of a car over its first 5 years by completing the table. The first part here was already done, so we just need to kind of figure out what they did. Here they did time, so 25,000 times 20 will give you 5,000, and then they subtracted the value at the beginning minus the depreciation. So here we have 20 times 20% is 4,000. And then if we subtract that from the 20, we get 16,000. And that comes over here times 20% is 3,200. And we subtract that. And that becomes our new value at the beginning of the year times 20%. Gives us 2,560. So then you subtract that from 12,800 to give us 10,240. And then that becomes our new value times 20%. Gives us 2,048 that we can subtract to get our last value of 8,192. All right, so here we have Tyler takes advantage of the manufacturer's offer, that's over here, to purchase a luxury SUV for $58,000. Calculate Tyler's monthly payment using a TVM solver. All right, so here I've got my TVM solver on the right, and we are going to fill this in. So you have 60 payments, and the way I get 60 is that's 5 years times 12 months. You're paying every month. Okay, and then we have our interest, the value of the car, and then we have, this is what we're looking for, PMT. The future value will be 0 and 12 and 12. So you come put those in, 60, 1.9, 58,000, 12, and 12, and then we will solve for PMT. And then here the payment will be 1,014, okay? So this next question is calculate the total amount he paid for the loan. So if he's paid 60 times 1,014, that means that he's paid a total of $60,840, which is a lot more than 50, well, not that much more, but it's more than 58,000. Number 7, the car company claims that its luxury SUV retains 85% of its value each year. This means the vehicle depreciates by how much percentage? So if it's keeping 85, that means it goes down by 15%. We're going to do the same thing we just did before to calculate the depreciation over 5 years. So here, we start with 58. We can fill in the depreciation percent for each one of them. So we got 15 on each. And then after that, we just need to do what we did before. So 58,000 times 15% is 8,700. And if you subtract that from your beginning value, you'll get 49,300. That value comes over here. And we once again do times 15%. Gives 7,395. And if you subtract that from the 49,300, you get 41,905. And we will just keep doing this same thing until we complete the table. All right, so our table is now completed. So we see here that Tyler will have spent, so our value from before, $60,840 for a vehicle that will have a value of about $25,734.91. All right, the next part here is deciding to lease or buy. You can lease a vehicle rather than purchasing one. When you lease a vehicle, you make monthly payments for the term of the arrangement. At the end of the term, you have 2 options. You can return the vehicle, or you can purchase the vehicle for a previously determined price. Leasing agreements specify the maximum number of kilometers you can drive, and there is a fee per kilometer exceeding this number. So if you consider your needs that you'd have from a vehicle, do you think you're more likely to buy or lease a vehicle? So this is individual. You have to explain why you chose this option. All right, so then we have a situation here. John drives his car to work 5 days per week. He lives 8 kilometers from his work. Complete the table to show the approximate number of kilometers that he'll put on the car. So if he drives 8 kilometers to work, that means he has to drive also 8 kilometers back. So every day he's doing 16 kilometers. Now the distance to and from work per week, he goes 5 times in a week. So 16 kilometers times 5 is 80 kilometers. And then in a year, we'll presume that he goes to work every week for 52 weeks, which will give you 4,160 kilometers. And then for 3 years, you'd take that and times it by 3. All right, John's brother Terry is a sales representative whose territory covers most of southwestern Ontario. He drives an average of 300 kilometers each day, 5 days a week. So we're going to complete the table again, but this time for Terry. So every day he does 300 kilometers. And then after that, for the week, and then for the year, and then for 3 years. So John and Terry decide to purchase a vehicle together and share the costs. Terry drives John to work and picks him up. Who do you think benefits the least from this arrangement? So I would say that it would be John, because his distance is less. And he also doesn't get the car during the day. So the distance during being less means that he's paying for half the stuff in the car, but he's not going as far with it, and the car is getting more wear and tear because of his brother. So it's not necessarily benefiting him. And him not having it all day means less flexibility if he has an appointment, or he wants to go out for lunch or go buy something. He has to wait for his brother. Give one reason why he might have decided to go along with this. One reason would very much be that he can't afford it without his brother. Okay, and then here, these next 3 questions are kind of individual, so research how much it would be to lease the car that you've been kind of researching throughout this unit, and then calculate the total of the monthly payments that you need to make. So figure that you can use the exact same setup we had before to calculate the total of monthly payments using either how much they tell you it would be online, or if they don't tell you, then you can use the TVM solver. And then the fee for exceeding the number of kilometers is how much. So each place will have it slightly different. And that is the end of chapter 7. So we'll be moving on to chapter 8 in the next video.